Miami Canes 83. Cam, why doesn't Miami go after Roderick Pleasant harder since we don't know what Cormani McClain is going to do?
This is assuming Miami doesn't know what Cormani is going to do. Now, I mean, he has maintained that he is committed to Miami. And I mean, he did say that at the Under Armour All-American game yesterday. But at a point, do not ever forget that relationships matter. And sometimes you can go after somebody late and say, hey, had a spot open. You know, we were waiting to see what you did senior year. Da, 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 da. Sometimes you can, other times you cannot. Right? If you go back to that 2013 class with Jermaine Grace, if you remember, the linebacker, so Jermaine Grace was supposed to be the other linebacker in that class. The number one linebacker target and in the country was Matthew Thomas from Booker T. Washington. Miami went all in on Matthew Thomas. And I'm saying this because I know people who were involved. I was there. I was deep in the world of recruiting at that time, 10 toes down, like in the streets, trust me. Went after Matthew Thomas. Matthew Thomas signs with FSU. Matthew Thomas then comes out and says, Southern Cal was my number 2. Miami wasn't even top 2, borderline, maybe even top 3, which is a gut punch because you're trying to get Matthew Thomas as your number 1 and then Jermaine Grace as your number 2 because, you know, Matthew Thomas was 6'4", can run. Jermaine Grace was, 6'2", and a little bit thin for the position, but, can still play. So you're looking at that. So then on signing day, because Booker T's ceremony was before American Heritage ceremony. On signing day, Miami called to offer Sky Moore a scholarship, SKAI. He played at South Carolina, played linebacker. Literally, it was like 8 to 10 minutes before their ceremony started. I said, nah, kick rocks. I'm going where I'm going. I wanted to be a Hurricane. I came to the camps. I basically begged and pleaded. And y'all said, nah, we got big 6. That was, what they, because it's jersey number. That's what we called Matt Thomas. We got big 6 in the bag. So we don't got room for 3. We're taking big 6. We got the Grace kid from Miramar, first team All-State. Nah, you miss on that. Call him late. Says no, absolutely not. Similar but different. Mike Harley at Aquinas. Mike Harley always wanted to be a Hurricane. You saw how much he exuded that love of the U when he was at Miami, when he was playing, when he catch a touchdown and everything, every interview, every community service, everything. He loved being a Hurricane and he wanted to for a long time. But Miami was not coming after him. Miami was going after other guys, and he was committed to West Virginia. And then finally, somebody grew a brain and was like, hold on, wait. The best high school team in America has the best wide receiver on their team who is a senior and wants to be a Hurricane, and we're not recruiting him. Why? Now, why is that? Using the Brian Windhorst. Now, why could that be? And finally, they did reach out to him and everything, and it was later in the process. It was like October, November, and he was like, what? And like we had the joke, most everybody in the world of recruiting, that bowl game, the Russell Athletic Bowl, was the Mike Harley Bowl, and whichever team won that bowl game would be the team that signed Harley. Now, Harley was going to come to Miami, but because we hit him late, but not too late in the process, right? And his relationship to Miami was such of great desire that when Miami reached out with even a modicum of time left in the cycle, he still said, that's going to be my spot. I say all of that to say, pulling up on Roderick Pleasant, who's an All-American, who teams have been recruiting consistently and solidly for 2 years or longer, I don't necessarily think that that's going to go the way that you want it to go at this late hour, when relationships matter. And we've heard that time and time again. Everybody thought Lorenzo Lingard was going to Florida. Relationship, he comes to Miami. Everybody thought that Avante Williams was going to Florida. Relationship from the years even before, because he's Lingard's cousin. So that connection, he was there when Lingard was getting recruited before he was even in the recruiting window. But he had that multiple year relationship of coming to camps and all those things with Ephraim Banda and the staff. He ends up coming to Miami, right? So, yeah, it would be nice to just have things go like the old video game when it's just like, I'm going to allocate all the points I can and I'm an incredible program. And I'm going to, luck into the top 3 recruiting pitches. And this guy's going to come, in the last little bit when, whoever's been recruiting him the entire time. I just don't necessarily think that that's reasonable or viable. And I mean, for Miami's side, regardless of what Cormani McClain does, I mean, I know that there is the fallacy of the sunk cost and being pot committed and like, well, I've invested too much to walk away from. I know that and there are times when like, yeah, even if you've invested almost everything, you got to walk away. This one, no. This is a huge, a great player, an incredible recruitment. If you are able to go into Lakeland and pull a player like this from Polk County or whatnot, no, we've ridden this far, like in for a penny, in for a pound, in for a dime, in for a dollar. Even if he on the 15th says Iowa State, he could call the name of any school that's not Miami. No, you do not abandon ship. You have to see this all the way through. And if it hits and lands and he picks signs, whatever he signs to Miami, great. And if he signs somewhere else, again, good luck and Godspeed. And then you just got to hold that L and you got to go down with that ship. But what we're not going to do is get to 11 days away from whenever he's announcing or signing whatever, and then just saying, we're going to pivot off. No. Now you're up the creek without a paddle. You're nowhere near close enough connected to Roderick Pleasant in terms of relationship. Whatever relationship you did have being close in proximity to Cormani McClain, now you're just going to abandon that at the very 11th hour-ish? No, you got to see it through. You have to see it through. Whether it hits or whether it doesn't, you got to see it through. And hopefully the work that you've done in terms of, and continue to do, because you can at least, text and call and things like that at this point. All of that you're doing, hopefully it pays off. But yeah, no, if you were going to pivot to Roderick Pleasant, the time was long ago. And yeah, that window is closed and that ship has sailed. So you got to be all in with Cormani McClain. Unless the only other variable here is if Roderick Pleasant calls. Oh my God, Falcon Rex, Lord Jesus. But if Roderick Pleasant calls and is like, hey, I want in, that's a different scenario. But then again, if Roderick Pleasant calls and says he wants in, you recruit him and continue recruiting Cormani McClain because you have an uncapped scholarship here, so you can take them both. So it's definitely not a zero-sum game. It's definitely not an either-or situation.